Hello, hi, happy Sunday. Today's Sunday. Welcome to the Soft Adornments Knitting Podcast. If you've been following me, it's been a while, but I am ready to talk about what I've been working on. I've been wanting to make a new video for a long time, so I'm happy I'm finally sitting down to do it. But if you're new to this channel, let me tell you a little bit about myself. So, my name is Natasha. I am from the Pacific Northwest. I have been knitting on and off since I was a child, but I really got into it in the last 7 years or so. And I've since picked up crocheting. I've picked up spinning in a huge way. I've been weaving a little bit. You can see a couple of my weavings, actually just this one and that one, in the background. And let's see what else. I've tried sewing, so point being, I do a lot of different fiber crafts, and I just love making things, and I love beauty, and I love adornment, and that's why I'm here, to share with you what I'm working on. That's why you're here to hear about what I'm working on. So, grab a drink, grab a snack, and grab a project, and I'll tell you about what I've been up to. I've got my coffee here in a handmade mug that I pinched a really long time ago, and by a really long time ago, I mean a couple years ago. But I really like this mug, and it's about noon right now, so I am enjoying a coffee. It is a partly cloudy day. It's not really nice and sunny. I hope you're getting a good amount of natural light in here. It's mid-March right now, late March, and we got a few days of really nice sunny weather, 65 degrees here in Seattle, which is my perfect temperature. It's you can wear whatever you want, you can go outside, and you can stay warm in the sun, but you're not getting sweaty, and that's the biggest thing I hate about summer. So I'm really enjoying this transition into spring. Of course, we get a false spring, and then it gets really miserable for a few weeks. So we just got out of a small rain spell, so I'm really hoping that it stays sunny for a little while. And let's see, what have I been up to lately? So since my last podcast, I guess the main things worth sharing are that I went to Rhinebeck last year with my friends. That was really, really, really fun. Way more fun and fulfilling than I almost want to admit. It was so nice to be in a new place, obviously to go to a fiber festival, how can you beat that? And it was just really nice to meet my friends who I have been having virtual knitting nights with for a few years now. And it was just nice to have real knitting nights in person and just hang out with them in person. And just the friend time was the biggest highlight of the trip. And it's just nice when people you've been talking to online turn out exactly the way they are in person. So yeah, that was really nice, and I will see them again this year, so I am so excited. Did a lot of shopping at Rhinebeck, met a lot of sheep, did go to Woolen Folk. Don't need to tell you anything you haven't heard already, but the whole Rhinebeck weekend was really, really nice. When I go this year, I'll probably not be shopping as much as I did last year because I haven't even used up the stuff that I got at Rhinebeck last year. But as I'm talking through my stuff, you'll probably see a couple of things I got from Rhinebeck. And what else? And I got my first fleece. It's a Romney fleece. I got it from a local Romney sheep and Angora goat farm, and they were super nice. It was family owned, and somebody from the family was helping me, and she was helping me skirt the fleece, and she was helping me choose a fleece, And so I've washed half of it, and I'm in the process of kind of picking through the locks and starting to card them on my fancy carder. Thank you to Raina for this carder. I bought this from her. She, I think, has a farm on the East Coast, and her fiber and her like lock spun yarns are so delicious. I have one to show you later. So okay, fleece, Rhinebeck. Oh, what am I wearing? So I feel like I am known for, colors and pink and purple. I have found myself gravitating towards neutrals lately. I have these like camo pants that, like, I've never been a camo person, but like I really like the dark green kind of neutral vibe, and they're Dickies, so they're really comfortable. I'm wearing this little tank, and then I'm wearing my plump cardi by Knitting Ruined My Life. It's this really cute scallop hem. Can you see that? Scallop hem cardigan jacket kind of vibe. And I knit this out of Spin Cycle Yarns plump base, I believe in the colorway Midsummer. Midsummer? No. I forget, but it is... Yep, nope, not coming to me. But it is by Spin Cycle Yarns. Really sweet design, really easy, like, button band construction. It's just a folded button band. And then there's also patch pockets that you can make with it. I just haven't made those yet. But I still have the yarn, so I probably might. Okay, so first I think I'm going to start with my works in progress. So the first one here is a spindle project I'm working on. So this is actually fiber I got from Rhinebeck. This is from 316 Dye Studio. And I think B got the exact same one, but they already spun theirs like a long time ago. So I'm excited to see like what my final yarn ends up being so we can compare. But I'm spinning this on my Turkish spindle. Got a nice big little turtle going. And then I have a already spun chunk of it, but I spun it on a different spindle, and the jessie is absolutely just prolapsing to the nth degree. So I'll probably stick this one in my like random hand spun singles pile to draw from when I want to do like boucles or just like, just play around with plying and stuff. But I am really happy with how this one's turning out. I think my fingering spinning is getting nice and even, and this is Rambouillet, so it's like super soft, really easy to draft, and yeah, it's just like a joy to spin. And I really love spinning on these kind of like mini kind of spindle sizes. It's like you can like bring it with you like outside, you can like spin it on the couch. I kind of like, if I'm spinning on the couch, I might like, if I'm sitting, kind of do like this, but I tend to just do it on my leg, kind of like a support spindle. So that's kind of telling me I should get a support spindle. So yeah, when I go to Rhinebeck, I'll probably like look for special like tool type things like that rather than like a bunch of yarn and fiber. Yeah, and just like look at that delicious like neon yellow. Like that's just so, ooh, delicious. I'm dropping everything. But I just wanted to show you this giant spindle I got from Rhinebeck. This is actually what I spun that prolapsing turtle on. So I want to use this for like art yarn, like plying especially because it's so big. But I'm trying to spin singles on it, and it's working. It's just very like, I'm not used to it. And you can tell because of like all the slubs and stuff on it. But I am having a good time. So we'll just have to see like how it turns out. Okay, another work in progress. One second. Okay, so as I mentioned before, I've gotten into weaving a little bit. So I just weave on this kind of little frame loom that I got for my birthday a few years ago. And that's what I wove this guy on, which I love. And I could actually talk about this one for a second. So it's a cotton warp from Just Yarns, I think. It's actually the same yarn I knit my my outline raglan in. So I have like a good amount of it left over. So it's like, I think made for weaving looms. So I was like, you know, perfect, whatever. And this one's really fun because I put a bunch of my hand spun in it, and I felted some little like mini turtles and just like little blobs made out of like leftover fiber and stuff, and I felt little hearts out of my leftovers too, so I stuck one of those on here. But I really love this piece. It's like, it feels very like playful to make, and I hope it feels playful to look at. One of my friends described it as like, I wish I was like really tiny so I could like go in and explore that area, and that's like exactly how I love to approach my weavings and my art in general. And yeah, it's just like weaving feels really good to do because similar to spinning, it just involves a lot of like touching and like feeling fiber, and just kind of like sometimes I'll just have some in my hand and then I'll just kind of spin it like with my hands, and it feels very like I'm connecting myself to like the larger lineage of spinning and fiber work. So I don't know, it's a somatic process that I really enjoy, and if you know me, you know how much I love and talk about the somatic process of fiber crafts. So anyway, all that to say, I'm working on a new weaving, and what's cool about this one is I'm trying to use all hand spun yarns spun by me, and including the warp. So this warp is actually, I think this is a Rambouillet also, but I spun it 3-ply, so it's like really nice and dense. And I actually had knit a hat out of this yarn, but because it's so dense, and I knit like a Best Beanie by James and Watts, the fabric is so stiff and structured that it doesn't like feel good to wear as a beanie. And so I've been really struggling with like what to do with this yarn. It's actually this one. So I've been really struggling on like what to do with this yarn because it's so chunky and like it feels really sturdy. It almost feels like rope-like, not rough and scratchy, but just like it's really got some like some heft to it, I guess. But because it's so like strong, yeah, I didn't know like what to do with it. So I think using it as a warp has been working pretty nicely. And I'm obviously not very far yet, but yeah, I'm feeling really good about it. And I'm throwing some little wool locks, some mohair that I spun, and what's really fun is this art yarn that I spun. I wasn't really trying to go for a boucle per se, but I did get these like nice little beehives in there, so I'm trying to really highlight these. And then this is, I believe, mohair from A Wild Offering, Raina, who I was talking about earlier. And I think that's all I have to say on this one. I just started this the other day. It really feels like painting, and I used to paint like with like watercolors and gouache, just like abstract kind of intuitive color work, and like to like kind of get at my feelings or like to process my feelings and stuff. So this is really bringing me a lot of that type of a vibe, so I'm enjoying it. And now to put this away without dropping it. Okay, so I think that's it for non-knitting works in progress. So like now on to like the fun stuff. This one I'm really excited about. This is my big rib. I know. It looks just absolutely wild. But pretty much the reason I'm using this yarn is my friends on our knitting Discord, we have a queer knitters Discord, let me know if you want to be in it. In the knitting Discord, we were having a big rib make along, and so I wanted to join too, but I didn't have the right yarn for it, and so one of my local yarn stores, Fiber Gallery, was having a moving sale. So I went and they had this yarn, which is Big Bad Wool's Baby Yeti. It's like a 80 to 90% alpaca, and then the rest is merino, so it's all natural fiber, and it's all wool. This like fuzzy, all natural yarn, like on sale, like 50% off. And I was like, I will literally never get a sweater quantity of this ever again, or like I would never get this normally, and so might as well just like try it, you know? And it is turning out exactly how I want it. Just like, you know, you could still see the ribbing a little bit, but like it's so like ushy gushy, like I wish you could squish this. It's so teddy bear, like I can't wait to just be like a big teddy bear. And I know what you're also probably thinking, that Natasha, it's almost summer, why are you knitting an alpaca full sleeve fuzzy wuzzy sweater? And the answer I have to that is I am not bound by the seasons. There's a Fleet Foxes song about that, I'm pretty sure, on their latest album. I am complex and I rise above all of that. And that's also to say I don't have the executive functioning to bind my knitting to the seasons. So, you know what? If it means I have a fuzzy sweater to have on hand when we do get our inevitable rainy days, then so be it, you know? I'm my own person. So, really excited about it. It's so cute. I'm on the body now, finally. Like, we've split for sleeves. We're good to go. I haven't been working on this as much lately because I'm actually, the primary project I'm working on right now is a test knit, but it's a secret test knit, so I can't show it to you right now, but it does come out in a few weeks. So in my next episode, or maybe in a couple episodes, depending on when I next record, I should be able to show you that, and I'm so excited about it. So good segue, I'll just show you the yarn I'm using for that one. So this is the main color. This is a Knit Picks bulky weight. It's a blend. It's like a blown fiber kind of yarn. So it's like a 23% nylon, like a mesh tube, and then the rest of it is mostly alpaca with a little merino, and it creates this really like light and fluffy yarn with this huge halo on it, which is really fun. And then I'm using these as like contrast colors, and it's gonna look so good. It's gonna look so good. I'm so excited. Like, look at these colors. It's so like nice and bright, and like, I mean, I know everyone's like, wow, Natasha, those are your colors, and yeah, they are my colors. I agree. I'm right there with you. And you know, nothing gets better than that. When you're knitting a project, that's your colors. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. I really wish I could show it to you. It's gonna be very, very, very good. Next work in progress, I am working on a yuan yue, and a lot of stitches have come off of the needles, but it's unspun, so it's fine. It won't fall apart unless I really mess with it. Although I do feel like I was doing something here because the the needles are like in 2 stitches below, or excuse me, 2 rows below the active row, so I feel like I was doing something like ripping back, and I don't remember what I was doing, so that'll be really fun to get back to. But anyway, it is an unspun cardigan. This is the back panel, and what I love is like how subtle this like design is, where the contrast is just negative or reverse stockinette and regular stockinette. And this is in Nutiden yarn, and what I love about this kind of beige color is if you look up close, it's actually a bunch of different colors that they just carded together with some natural colored sheeple. So like if you look up close, you see like yellows and reds and purples and blues, but like from far away it just looks like a nice like rich grayish. And this is for my partner, who is a big neutrals kind of guy, so it's kind of perfect for him, and I'm having a lot of fun making it. So yeah, I'm really also interested in what the heck is going on with this pattern. What am I doing here? I don't know. But I will pick this back up when I'm kind of done with like test knits and all that stuff. I just love like a communal knitting kind of thing, you know, like every time my friends are like, ooh, you guys want to make this together? I'm like, yes I do. I want to knit things with my friends. And then anytime I see a test knit that's cute, I'm like, yes, I want to knit with a group of people, and I want to get to know new people, and I want to make a cute new thing. And then all my projects that, you know, I started before, or like that are on like long-term hold, they're like, hello, what are you doing? Hello? And yes, so I do want to get back to that though, because it's fun to knit, and I'm really excited to kind of see it all together. And big yarn, big needles, works up fast, can't go wrong. And it's like 1 color per row, so the striping is like super easy. Last work in progress is a Stephen West shawl. This was another friend's knit along, but yeah, this has been really slow going for me. And I've knit like 3 or 4 Stephen West shawls. I have knit 4 of the like mystery knit along shawls, like the shawlography, the starflake, the slipstravaganza, and actually I think I've knit 3 of the mystery knit alongs, and then I've knit the dotted rays, which is like a super easy one. But so this isn't a mystery knit along shawl, it's the Aurora cabin. I don't know if I said that already, but it kind of alternates between like this kind of 5 color slip thing and then these like garter stripes. So I'm on like an easier part of the pattern, and yeah, I just like put it down because I was like, I think, getting kind of frustrated with like how slow going it was for me. I have some friends who like blew through it though, and their shawls look really good. But yeah, I think this is going to be one of those knit-alongs where I'm going to be giving updates like once every like 6 months or something, and then like in 5 years everybody will be like, wow, Natasha, great shawl. So if you're one of my friends who is in this knit-along, just be ready for that. All superwash yarns. I'm trying to use my superwash yarns like with each other as much as I can, but like all of these actually are like leftovers or like yarns that I had already wound and used a little bit of for a project. And so I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of kind of stash busty projects like this just to like get rid of them kind of thing. But yeah, I'm not a huge superwash kind of guy anymore. I think since I started spinning, I've just been like more interested in like, you know, specific breeds and like different fibers and all that kind of thing. But you know, when you're gifting to other people, like, I think there might still be a place for superwash in my life, because if I'm gifting something to like a non-knitter or somebody who's not used to hand washing like little things, then, you know, I kind of feel bad like it's like giving somebody a plant or something, and it's like, here's take care of this for the rest of your life, you know. So I don't know. I mean, I also don't love superwash against my skin too much, but I don't mind my superwash shawls too much because, like, you know, it's like wet here, it gets really gross. Then I don't really like feel bad about like kind of using and abusing them. I feel like it can kind of take it. So I don't know, I'll probably just be making a bunch of like Stephen West shawls with these like superwash yarns I have laying around. Okay, so that is my works in progress. I'm gonna take a drink of water. Everybody drink some water if you haven't had it in a while. Oh yeah. I'm gonna show you my finished objects. I'm not really following any particular order here. It's just whatever's next to me. So I'm gonna start with my spinning my spinning finished object, which I haven't washed yet, but if you were following my stories in the last few days, I've been spinning this boucle yarn out of some singles that I had laying around, and I love it so much. It's so pretty. I just love boucle yarn. I think it's so fun to look at and work with, and I just love kind of using it for really like to add texture to like garments and like obviously weavings and stuff. But I'm trying to use my textured yarn in more like artsy kind of garments. Like there's so many people whose work I admire on Instagram who like use a lot of that kind of really textured and like just fun kind of yarns. And so I want to kind of be more playful with not only like the art pieces I make, but like with the garments I make too. And like, you know, like I have the skills, like I can self-draft things. I could even like, you know, like in my big rib, like use a funky yarn in a project that like isn't technically made for that, you know, but it still gives a good effect, and like it's really fun. So yeah, also it's really fun to spin boucle. Like it's such a different spinning experience. Like to get these loops, really, like you take a core thread, and you take a looser ply, and then you like feed the loops onto it really like slowly and loosely, and then you take a third single once that part's done, and then you wrap it around the loops, and you kind of like move the loops around, so like it makes like these loops, and sometimes it'll like make big loops, and sometimes it'll kind of make more like slubby kind of guys. But I mean, the effect at the end is just like a really sheepy looking skein, and I'm really excited to wash this and use it. So what's funny about this yarn, or I don't know, it's not funny, but like the thing about this yarn is I got this nest fiber kind of roving bag, and the colors are so pretty that I wanted to isolate them. And originally I had wanted to make like a 3-ply yarn and kind of have it like fade from like one color to the next, and kind of align the colors of all the plies, so like all of the red is plying together, and then like just spin them in the same order. But then after my other 3-ply yarn came out really dense, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to make another yarn like that when I don't even know what I'm going to use that first one for. So I've kind of just had this laying around, but like spinning the singles slowly. I have like another bag of these kinds of bats of isolated colors. And so, yeah, I had just a little like e-spinner bobbin of singles, so I used that to make this. And oh, I have this book called, I have 2 new spinning books actually. One is Yarnitecture, which is like the theory of like how to spin yarn in the way that you want it to be for like socks, or like kind of like spinning for what you want to knit, and it's really, really cool. And then I have this other book called The Spinner's Book of Yarn Designs, which is more like, if you want to spin a boucle, here's how you do that. If you want to spin This other type of yarn, you know, like, so it's like spinning the type of yarn you want aesthetically versus like the first book, which is like learning how to spin for the project that you want to knit up. And so they're both like really good books to have on hand, like two sides of the same coin. But I was using the Spinner's Book of Yarn Designs because it's really nice. Like, it breaks down, like, if you want this type of yarn, you start with like this type of apply, it's twisted this direction, then you want another type of apply that's twisted this direction, then you want to apply it this direction. So it's very like step by step. And I don't always spin all of my fiber knowing what it's going to end up in the end. Like, you know, sometimes I will do that, but often I'm just spinning for the love of the game. And so I end up with all these singles that like I don't know what to do with them. But with boucle, it's really nice because you need some plies that are Z twist and some plies that are S twist. And when I was looking through my singles the other night, I was like, wait, I have like everything I need right here. And so it's really fun to just kind of make things by like almost like finding like the parts around you, you know? So yeah, it's one of those things that like I used to kind of shame myself about a little bit. Like, oh, like I need to be better at planning, I need to be better at using things. But the thing is, I do use things, I just do it in my own way. And so, I don't know, just the triumph of making this yarn like kind of helped remind me that like it's okay if I have my own like way of working that doesn't like look like what I've seen around me, you know? And you just have fun with it. Like, just have fun. Like, look at how much fun this looks like. Like, I had fun making it, and like it looks like I had fun making it, you know? So very cute. That reminds me, I also have another work in progress that I was going to show you, a couple more works in progress. So okay, so these are my works in progress for things that I am self-drafting or just kind of like freehanding. So this one I am pretty much freehanding. This is going to be a tank top. So there's my summer knit. This is so soft, like so incredibly soft. This is Ching fiber melted baby suri held together with a non-superwash merino by Starbath Dyes. And I kind of want it, so we're about here, I wanted to like wear it around my waist, so maybe like another like inch or two. And then I wanted to like do something fun with like the bodice part. Like I thought it'd be really cool to do a project that had like boning in the knitting. You could make like a little tube channel and put wires in there. But I don't know, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that right now, you know? So I might just do like I-cord kind of details, like boning to give it some shape. Maybe like another idea I had was like knitting the waist part, but then like knitting the bodice part separately, and then having like a little triangle kind of cut out here, you know. So we'll see. But what's really fun about this pattern, I'm not following a pattern. What's fun about this project is I was experimenting with these little mirrors I have, and I figured out how to do a shisha stitch to attach the mirror onto my knitting fabric, which is like super cool. And like in a lot of like South Asian garments and I didn't do a very good job. In a lot of South Asian garments and textiles, there's like these little mirrors that are stitched on, and you can also get like the mirrors like pre-stitched with like thread around it. But I just used like one strand of mohair to do this that matched the color of the blue yarn under it. So I think I'm going to like kind of put mirrors like all over, and it's gonna be really cool. And I really hope it turns out good because I'm really proud of this idea. And so yeah, if I could turn it into something, that'd be freaking cool. Okay, next I know for a fact that I have talked about this yarn in the past. So this is a yarn that I bought from a textile and quilt center in Oregon. And I think I was reading the tag on my podcast and I was like, this says 76Y/O. Does that mean it's 76 years old? But no, I realized very quickly while I was using it, it means 76 yards per ounce. So, like, yeah, it's not 76 years old. But yeah, it's a single and I just knit it into a rectangle and I'm sewing it. I'm grafting it closed into a ring. So I'm probably gonna like wrap it. Like this will be like the waist part, and then I have this like mohair I kind of like lock plied, I don't know if that's a word, with a random single I had laying around. And so I don't know, I'm gonna either like turn this into like the boob part or this into like the waist part and then like make like a bodice with this, or I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna kind of have fun with it and see what happens. I've kind of been putting my like freehandy projects on the side since I've been working on this test knit that I can't show you. I pretty much have like a month to work on it, which is why I'm just focusing all of my energy into it. But yeah, I really want to get back to my freehand projects, and I have a couple of long-term whips on hold that I really want to finish too. Okay, last work in progress for realsies is, so I am working on like a shruggy kind of thing, completely just freehand. I just cast on some stitches and made sure they would fit around my wrist, and that's about it. But I'm using all hand spun here, mostly hand spun by me. This purple was hand spun by my friend Annabelle, and I'm just kind of having fun with it, like, you know, sticking some locks in there and giving it that texture. And I don't know, I do want this to be a shruggy, but like I don't like the shruggies that's like a neck hole, like a crew neck hole and then sleeves. That sensory thing would bother me. I mean, this shirt is like, this already bothers me, like having a high neck, but like having a high neck connected to the sleeves, I don't know, it just doesn't like feel great to me. And so I feel like I'll either like make 2 sleeves and then like kind of connect them like with a little tie in the front and back, or something like that. I don't know. I do like the vibe of like, you know, when you're like putting on a sweatshirt but you just kind of like put your sleeves through it and then like the rest of the sweatshirt's just like hanging out here. I do like how that feels, and so I might kind of emulate that kind of a vibe, but we'll see. This one I actually started because I had all these like tiny little things of hand spun. Just like little tiny things of hand spun that I was like, what am I going to use this in? And so this is originally like a hand spun stash busting, scrap busting project, but it's really fun, and it's kind of really out there, but I'm having fun with it, and I'm really hoping it turns out into something that I will like to wear. Okay, so that was all my works in progress. I talked about my boucle yarn. Now I have this filet crochet project. You cannot even make it out. Like, I was using this to test like the lighting on this shot, and I held this up and I was like, you literally can't tell what that says, but it says Ishq on it, which means love. And I was thinking of like making this into like a cardigan or like a top or something. Part of me is like, oh, I wish like the message was clearer, but I don't know, maybe it can just be like a secret between me, the person who wears this, and God. So, you know, like, whatever, live your life. This is Noro Garden Silk Sock, something like that. Very drapey. So this would be a great summer fiber. Like, there is some wool in here, but feels very cool to the touch because of like all the silk and like other stuff in it. I think there's like 5 different types of fibers in here as well. So yeah, I guess technically like this part is finished, but I do want to make it into something, so I don't know if it's actually finished, but I do have a for sure finished object, which is my coquette top. Ta-da! This was really fun to make. This I knit in Noro Viola and a strand of mohair from Through the Wardrobe Yarn Company. And I love how the Noro yarn is like purple but like with rainbow in it. It's like, ugh, so delicious. Oh, and then I used remember that hand spun I was talking about, that this one? So I used that for some detailing around the neckline and around the sleeves. And the sleeves, I mean, look at these sleeves. Like, come on. Like, this is so cute. And then this detail is Chang Fiber Melted Baby Suri, as is this tie here. And yeah, this was really fun to make. I have never made a fully seamed sweater. Like, I've knit sweaters that are like, you know, like the bottom is in the round and then you split for sleeves and you knit the top half flat, but like this was like front panel, back panel, seam that, knit the sleeves flat, seam that. Like, that was a huge challenge for me, but like I kind of get it now, you know, like it does feel secure, whereas like a raglan, like if you don't get like the fit just right, then like you get all this like weird extra like fabric up here, or it doesn't like fit nicely, or it like stretches over time. So, you know, I get it. I get the seamed sweater thing. I'm on board. I do apologize for any hateration of seamed sweaters in the past. I'm over it now. One thing I do want to do is I do want to open up the underarm seam a little bit and just kind of like let it out a little bit, I guess, because I do feel like the armhole is a little tight. I think I was test knitting this, and I think in the final version of the pattern, the designer beaumeadow, I think she did change the instructions a little bit so that the armhole won't be as tight, but that's something that I just didn't alter after the pattern came out, so that's something I'll want to do for sure. I'm actually altering a different sweater of mine right now. Not my rumble raglan, my partner pullover. That one I bound off the folded neckline way too tight, and so because I did it too tight, like the whole like bottom of the neckline rises up to here, since this is a smaller circumference than here, and so it like the folded neck just like sits against my neck like this, and it's not cute at all. So I am binding off that neckline, and I really need to reblock that too, because when I brought it to Rhinebeck, I didn't really like block it per se. I just kind of like washed it and dried it flat, but I really need to pin it into place because it's starting to do that like rise thing, you know, where like it's a cropped sweater already and like the bottom of it is moving from here to here, and we can't have that. So why did I start talking about that? Oh, alteration. Trying to get into the spirit of alteration and, you know, make something so that I will wear it more. And I do wear this, but I would wear it more if the armholes were more comfortable. So once I'm done with that alteration, I will work on this alteration. That's it for finished objects. I don't have very much finished because I have a lot going on, but I'm really excited with a lot of the projects I'm working on, so I'm excited to share with you updates in the future. Before we go, I did want to show some of the stuff I've gotten recently. So as part of the Fiber Gallery's like moving sale, I also got this 100% alpaca cloud of a yarn. It's so light and soft, and it's so pretty. Like, it's amazing how much halo you can get from alpaca. Like, excuse me, I have some alpaca like in a bat that I got at Woolen Folk. I haven't spun it yet though. So I've also heard that alpaca, like, it's like if you just do an alpaca garment, it's like way too warm. It's like too warm, like too sweaty, and doesn't breathe. So I am unsure what to use this in, but I feel like I only have a little bit of it. Like, I have 2 skeins of this, but like, you know, that's not like very much. So I think it'd be cute to do like a textural contrast, like checkerboard sweater or something like that, where like these are kind of popping out as like a textural element, but not like the full sweater. So we'll see. I don't know. The colors. Okay, so I bought some hand spun mohair from a wild offering, and like, look at this. It's so fun. Like, this is mohair and it's naturally colored, and the yarn is so soft and it smells so good. Like, it's not like fragranced, but like it's so clean. Like, I think they take really good care of their animals from what I see. Like, and I don't know, just it's really amazing to like buy yarn from the people that raised the animals, you know? And so I'm really excited to like kind of use this in more of my like experimental or like freehandy kind of garments using hand spun yarns. So I'm really excited about this one. And then this one I got from Rhinebeck. So it's not a new acquisition, but it is so pretty. This is all naturally dyed. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's all naturally dyed. And I just couldn't put this colorway down, obviously. And they had so many different types of colorways, and like this colorway and different yarns, but like I was really attracted to like the distribution of colors in this one. So like it was this skein I could not put down, and I still don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I think it'll be another similarly like experimental hand spun, even though this is not hand spun. I don't know. I just like looking at it for now, you know. It brings me such joy to look at. So that's that. That is all I have to show you today. So I think coming up I will have that test knit to show you. I've gotten back into spinning on my wheel, which I had not been really doing much of lately. Like I said before about like spinning being a somatic practice, like I've just felt very like kind of in my head and the clouds, out of my body, like whatever. And so when I'm like that and like kind of going through mental health stuff, it really is hard for me to spin and do activities like that. But recently I've kind of started being more honest about like support that I need, and my friends have been really sweet about it. I started talking to my therapist again, and it's funny because I was trying to spin on my wheel like the night before when I was spinning my boucle yarn, and I did like have a good time, and I did make a boucle yarn, but I think I overspun it a bit, which you could tell when I was like holding it, and it was just like meow, meow. But it's funny because when I was spinning last night, after I had a therapy session in between those two experiences of spinning, I was able to be much more controlled with my movements, be much more like aware of my movements, and I was having a much better time spinning. And it's just, what a concept, you know, like, wow, when you're in your body, you can do somatic crafts much better. So yeah, I'm spinning like a DK-ish weight single right now, which I've never been able to do before. I always tend to do like a little bit of DK, and then like the yarn just starts getting thinner and thinner until I'm just spinning a fingering weight single again. But I'm really excited to get back to that once I wrap up here. I'm excited to work on my test knit sweater, which I'm on the front panel of. I just finished the back panel, so it's just front panel and sleeves now. And I should be able to zoom through that really quickly, so I think I will have that to show you next episode. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching me, listening to me talk about what I'm working on. Happy 2024. I hope wherever you are, you got some rows done, you enjoyed a nice snack, that you have a good time with your crafts, and thank you for watching, especially if you made it to the end. I really appreciate you for paying attention and just taking a look at what I have to say. So I'll be over here making things. See you next time.